Welcome in, everybody, to another week of UFL Weekly. I am Kyle Krajewski, joined by Mr. Beautiful, Mr. Fantastic, Zach Cole. Zach, how you doing this week, man?
I am doing fantastic. We're recording on Wednesday here as back to our normal schedule, and we're only a day removed from some spring football. So I'm feeling particularly upbeat, and we got to see a lot of points this week, man. So I'm fired up to talk about it.
Yeah, I think I saw a post somewhere kind of highlighting the total weekly amount of points scored in spring, like these spring football leagues for the past 5-6 years. And I think this was like the second or third highest scoring week in the past near near decade of spring football. So it was definitely a high scoring week. I felt it, and statistically, it was. It was a
hmm
great week of football. Uh,
Some big time performances too.
oh
Sorry,
well,
didn't mean to
no,
cut you
yeah,
off
some
there,
big
but
time performances. But before we get into that, we are UFL Weekly, where we're here to talk all things UFL Weekly. We're just gonna preview here week 3 of UFL action, sprinkling in some recaps of what we saw this past week, with a little bit of what we can look forward to this upcoming weekend. Uh, this past week we saw uh, last night actually we saw, or not last night, this is Sunday. We saw Dallas stay hot. Dallas and Austin Reed at starting quarterback stay hot, especially with that connection with Tyler Vaughns, setting a single game regular season record with 11 catches, going for 146 yards and 3 touchdowns, keeping Dallas as one of the only undefeated teams remaining. Houston got its first win after a rough week 1. They came out and beat the Stallions in a walk-off game-winning 50-yard field goal from John Hoyland, going 5 for 5 on field goals. And then DC having a rough week 1, scoring 10 points there, bounced right back and scored 44 last week. Yeah, let's see. They put up 153 total yards in week 1, and then came back with 319 this past week, rushing for 229 total, mostly on the back of Deion Jackson, putting up 97 yards for 3 touchdowns himself. So yeah, monster week in scoring for, I will say it, Deion Jackson, John Hoyland, and Tyler Vaughns having themselves some
mhm.
huge weeks this past week.
Yeah, Kyle, Houston kind of got a little bump too. They had the offensive player of the week with Nolan Henderson,
Yeah,
who put up a very solid game. It wasn't as flashy as we've seen from a couple other performances so far this season, but it was still like it got the job done for them. In DC, I mean, man, they capitalized on Aviator mistakes big time, and yeah, obviously that led to that scoring outbreak that we saw, 44 points from them. So
yeah, it was I guess for some people a bounce back week, but for some people I guess even staying steady as to what they saw last or in week 1 with especially Dallas, and then the Storm staying undefeated as well. But unfortunately, some teams still kind of staying bottom of the barrel here, kind of seeing
mhm.
some winless teams here. But let's talk week 3. Zach, I'll let you kick us off here with game 1.
All right, we got our Friday night game here. We got the Louisville Kings at the Orlando Storm. It is an 8 p.m. kickoff. Probably one of the lower over-unders that we've had coming
Yep.
into an opening line here. We have it at 38 and a half. And the Storm are favored by 3 points, so Storm -3. And this might sound like a very familiar matchup because these two played 6 days ago. This one's pretty fresh in everyone's mind. I mean, it's we had to double check, make sure that wasn't a typo, and we swore up and down that we saw this again pretty recently, but we couldn't find anything. Maybe there's a week or two in between when two other teams played back to back, but Louisville and Orlando are going to face each other after just having played each other last week. So Orlando did win last week's matchup 19-9, and I think that's probably, Kyle, why we're seeing this really low line of 38 and a half here, and why we're probably seeing Orlando with the slight edge. So Orlando definitely looked controlled and very divisive in what it was they were doing. They kind of had the time of possession game on their side. They just handled the ball and ran 62 plays, 12 more than Louisville ran, which was just kind of the overall storyline in that game. And one of the other storylines is that the Kings just can't seem to run the ball. They had only 36 rushing yards per game through 2 weeks, and I think that that's probably a pretty big reason why they're sitting at 0-2 right now. So we do have 2-0 Louisville. I'm sorry, 2-0 Orlando taking on 0-2 Louisville. So it's going to be a matter of, can Louisville get the run game going at all? They need to find something on the ground that just kind of paces the whole game and allows you to throw the ball. That's one of those old football sayings. You gotta be able to run the ball to be able to throw the ball, and so on and so forth. But Louisville, it just, they need to kind of figure it out. Their quarterback situation's a little murky as well. We saw Jason Bean for all of week one. Last week we saw some Bean, we saw some Chandler Rogers. Sorry, it just I don't know. They seem like they're really just trying to figure things out, both in the run game, in the passing game, the quarterback play. It's just not really clear right now. So Orlando's going to rely on some explosive plays, and just a defense that does its job on the field all the time. So I think that's kind of going to be the two main storylines. And we did get to see something pretty cool. We saw KJ Hamler house one, a la his Bronco days. He was looking good, looking fast, looking like that spry freshman from Penn State from however many years ago that was. But that was pretty cool to see him take one to the house. It was kind of a short dump off pass that he then cut up the sideline and got to flash the speed. So a lot of different storylines here for two familiar opponents going at it again 1 week after they played each other. We have last week's results, 19-9, but that doesn't necessarily mean this week will be the same. So, Kyle, what are your picks here for this game? Once again, we have Orlando -3 over under 38 and a
Yeah,
half.
I think this week ends 19-9, Kings beating the Storm. No, I
Mm,
just one flip flop. The
the old switcheroo.
home team scores 19, away team scores 9. Zach, I gotta ask you before I make my game picks here. As a as a coach yourself, how would you, I guess, go into a week, I guess, after you've already faced this team? Like, how would you prepare for week, like the second week of, I guess, facing the same opponent? Would it just be the same thing, or would, like, how much takeaway would you have from the previous week? All of it?
All right, so it's a tough situation, Kyle. We face it ourselves in our regular football. See, I coach high school football for any of you guys that don't know, but we always end up facing a common opponent in our playoffs. Just inevitably, it's the way that our bracket is kind of set up, and it's one of those like damned if you do, damned if you don't types of situations where as a coach you look like a fool if you change everything and it doesn't work, because why didn't you stick with what worked the first time, or what you know and what you do well? Or if you don't change anything and they just shut you down again and you get the same result, it's like, well, why didn't you change anything? So it's got to be a very careful balance of maybe finding some of those weaknesses or some of those areas that you can exploit and trying to improve upon those specific areas, but not breaking down the whole thing from top to bottom, because you kind of have to find that middle ground of we're still keeping our identity, but we're doing something to improve our game plan. So I would say that that's probably got to be the best approach for Louisville coming into this one.
Noted. Yeah, I just wanted your coaching thoughts there, because I felt like this is a unique situation here. Now,
It
while
definitely is.
Zach let me think here a little bit longer, I'm gonna go with my game picks. I'm gonna go Orlando, still winning this one, still making the spread. So Orlando -3 here on this one, but I'm gonna take the over. I feel like,
Mm.
something's got to wake up on this Louisville team. We know Orlando can score roughly 20 points. Maybe they score a little bit more than 19 this next week. But I think I have faith in Louisville putting something together, scoring an extra touchdown, uh, getting themselves into the mid to high teens here. Maybe they touch 20 themselves. Uh, I'm hopeful, and I think they can. I think they can put something together to get themselves into the end zone one extra time. Please, Louisville. I believe. So yeah, Orlando -3 over 38 and a half.
I am going to ride with you on the Orlando -3. I don't think we've seen enough from Louisville to really put a ton of confidence in the fact that they might turn this around and flip the script. And that's just kind of speaking to their own to start here. However, at the 38.5 line, I'm going to go under on this
Ooh,
one because in this past matchup, we only saw 22 total points, so that still gives us 16 points of wiggle room to still be in that under range. And I two touchdowns, I like those odds. So whether one goes to Louisville, whether an extra one goes to Orlando, I still think that under is going to be fairly safe, which is why I'm leaning that way.
love it. Game 2 this week for week 3 sees the Houston Gamblers take on the DC Defenders in DC at Saturday at noon Eastern. The over and under set at 47 and a half, the highest on the week. That's a big big number there. Defenders are
Sure
favored
is.
favored in this one at -6.5. Both teams coming off some really, I guess, what I'll call confidence building results. Confidence, like big boosters there. DC getting its first win in dominant fashion against Columbus, while Houston came away with that game winning field goal against Birmingham last week. This past week, DC's run game showed up in a huge way, kind of paving the way to their victory here in Columbus. But Houston's got to figure out. I mean, we talked about Nolan Henderson stepping in after Deckers was hurt with an injury. Henderson got himself a offensive player of the week. And I mean, hey, Houston put up 407 yards of offense this past week. So this is
Mhm.
two offenses that just figured something out this past week. And who knows? Maybe it carries over. Maybe we hit this 47 and a half over. Um, Vegas clearly thinks we do. So what we'll see here is kind of a game between the DC rushing attack versus the Houston front. DC making it clear this past week that this is their way of winning is on the ground. Where clearly that didn't work week 1, where they kind of floundered and put up only 10 points. If Houston can slow that down, this is going to be a long day for DC. This is still a offensive line that allowed 7 sacks week 1 in DC or for DC. So Houston could very well find the weaknesses here if needed, and kind of control that run game for DC. I want to point out there's still a question mark at quarterback for Houston, as Deckers came out with an injury, but there's no injury report that states that he's still hurt. But Houston recently signed arena football quarterback Sam Castronova, maybe pointing to Deckers, maybe missing a week or two. But we're not entirely sure there. But odds are, if Deckers can't go, I think Henderson kind of earned himself a starting slot here.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, this was bounce back week for both Houston and DC. Now they get to face each other, and only one of them can come away with the win. So with the defenders favored here at -6.5, over under set to 47.5. Zach, what you got here, boss?
I think that's a pretty wide line there for DC, and that kind of worries me a little bit. I think Vegas might be sleeping on this Houston team a little more than I like. They seem to be pretty resilient. They're clearly pretty strong on the special teams end and are able to capitalize when they're on their side of the field. So I think I'm going to take Houston plus 6.5 here.
Ooh,
Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me,
bless
sorry
you.
about that. And for the over under, it's crazy. I think I like the over. I'm this DC offense seems to be able to score points, and Houston just seems pesky and like they like to hang in games a little bit more than other teams would like. So I'm thinking that they're gonna keep this close, and maybe we might see a little bit of a high scoring shootout here. So I'm gonna go Houston plus 6.5 and give me the over.
Interesting. I'm gonna go a little bit opposite here. I'm going DC minus 6.5. That is a wide line, but I think
Hmm.
these are two teams that I think found an identity to an extent last week with the run game. Houston, I didn't mention this, came away with 174 rushing yards, um, leaning into that run game quite a bit last week. So they commanded it there, but I think DC did it so much better. Oh, 6.5 is a big one. I'm committing DC minus 6.5. Uh,
Got to keep it entertaining,
I
right?
gotta keep it entertaining. But I feel like that run game and balanced offense for Houston isn't. I'm gonna go the under. Give me under 47
Wow.
and a half. I don't like rooting for the under. But 47 and a half is big. I know DC did just put up 44, and I hope they prove me wrong and score more points here. But I think we see. I think this is a run game on both sides, and that doesn't spell well for a over
Hmm.
47 and a half scoring game. But prove me wrong, guys.
I think that is very well put. I definitely could see either way
Yeah,
panning out in this game, and that kind of that scares me a little bit. But I think this might be one of the I don't know. I think I might stamp this as our game of the
I'm
weekend. I
in.
don't want to jump the gun too early, but I really like that one, and I like that high total.
I'm in. I like it.
All right. Our next game of the weekend is the Sunday 12 p.m. noontime game at EST here, and that is the Columbus Aviators at the Dallas Renegades. We got an 0-2 at a 2-0. Columbus still looking for a win, and Dallas hoping to avoid that first loss. So another pretty high over under here. This one's set at 46.5, and the Renegades are favored by a full touchdown by 7 points. So couple key things to watch there. The Renegades are clearly the hottest offense in the league behind Austin Reed. He was incredible in week one, stayed right on rhythm with that in week two, including a huge performance throwing the ball to Tyler Vaughns, his guy here. He had 11 catches for 146 yards.
Jeez.
Just really kind of outstanding. And Dallas did a really good job last week against St. Louis. They One of our questions was not to talk too much about St. Louis, but we talked about that pass rush coming off of that week one performance, and Dallas nullified that completely. They really did a good job of letting Reed feel comfortable in the pocket, and that was pretty evident. And they were able to put up a high point total again in week two. So Columbus on the other side is struggling. They're still trying to find their footing. There's definitely flashes of hope, and a lot of that comes behind Jalen McClendon, but some of his weapons around him are kind of letting him down with some ball security issues. We saw 3 turnovers against DC for us in last night's game. You guys will be hearing this on Thursday, so Tuesday night's game. But yeah, a couple fumbles, just a little bit of things going the wrong way for them, and DC was able to capitalize, and the game kind of just got out of hand before they could really do anything about it. But that's not to say that Columbus isn't encouraging right now. I was just looking through the standings and the points for leaders, and I believe that they are tied for third right now in most points scored in the league at 42 points with the Storm. So that's definitely an encouraging thing. Actually, they're tied for
Time.
fourth. Sorry,
Yeah.
but on behind only Dallas and DC. So it just things look like they're going to start breaking the Aviators way, but we're just kind of waiting for that to happen at this point. So, can Columbus hang on to the ball? Can Jalen McClendon keep them in it? Are his legs going to be the X factor? There's all these kind of things that could contribute. I think that this is a really interesting game from the kind of who's for real, who's not storylines, because I think that Columbus is better than their record indicates. And I don't want to say anything about Dallas because they look like the team to beat right now, but can they keep rolling on this win streak that they're on? So, Kyle, with all that being said, their defense is incredible. They held St. Louis only 3 points last week. So, a lot of things to consider. High flying offenses, pretty good defenses. Well, one pretty good defense, one questionable defense on Columbus's behalf there. But all that's to say, I want to hear what you think. One more time, Dallas -7, over under 46.5. What are your picks?
Dallas held St. Louis to 15, not 3.
Three in the first half.
Oh,
Sorry about
yeah.
that. Three in the first
Okay.
half.
Man, Dallas really does look like the absolute team to beat this year. Like, far and away. I think it's going to be hard not to, I guess, go with them on the points here. So I mean, I feel like Dallas is on a roll, and I don't think Columbus
Mm,
is that team to slow them down, unfortunately, because I think you're right, where Columbus is like a few tweaks away from being
mm-hmm.
good and winning. But right now, I mean, they're sitting at 0-2 and facing the number one team in the league. It's tough. It's a tough spot to find yourself
Yeah.
in week 3. So I'm taking Dallas -7. Zach, I had to note we're recording this Wednesday night, a whole day after this Battlehawks Renegades game. They didn't put the odds out for this game until like an hour before we recorded. I was worried.
Oh
I
wow.
was worried all day
Interesting.
looking at at DraftKings. I was like, "Oh my god, like they're not going to give us odds for these next 2 games, are they?" They had
That
them for the
dang
first
Tuesday
2.
night game.
Yeah, but this game and the next game, the Stallions Battlehawks, they were like, "No, we need to run some more numbers after this Tuesday night game. You're throwing us off." I'm like, "Damn, come on, don't mess us up here." But they came through. All that Dallas -7, and I mean, I got to go with the over. I think these are 2 offenses that can score surprisingly. Especially, I mean, we know Dallas can score 30 plus points no matter who they're facing. But I think the Aviators can put up 20 as well. So I'm taking Dallas -7 over 46.5.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to be pretty vanilla because I think I'm going to go right with you on both of
Yep.
these picks. When you were talking about Columbus, I can't help but to think of like, I don't know if it's a cartoon or something, but like there's a leaky pipe and the cartoon character puts his hand over one hole and then another one opens up and he puts his hand over that hole and then another one. And eventually he's got leaks going on. That's just what it kind of feels like in Columbus right now. Like they're just trying to put out a fire here, put out a fire here, and eventually they're going to get them all covered, and we're going to see them pop off in 1 week, and we're going to see it. It's going to all click, and that's going to be the week when we're going to go, oh, this Columbus team might be legit. So,
Zach, I
but I'm waiting. Go ahead. Sorry, what was that?
you're not going to believe this. Who do you think the Aviators play in week 4?
Oh boy, that feels like is that Louisville?
No, they play the
Oh God.
Dallas Renegades again. Who made the schedule, man?
this UFL, give us a call. We're free for schedule making.
We can fix this. I feel like this isn't like who. This is weird. Oh, poor
I was like,
Aviators.
oh,
Hey, who
I'm
knows?
thinking. I'm thinking the perfect storm is going to line up and they're going to get Louisville and everything's going to click. I'm like, oh, I'm fired up now,
Uh,
but
yeah.
I was
Well,
not expecting
initially
that.
I was gonna joke. I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna turn around for Columbus. They're finally gonna clog all those leaks. They're gonna figure it out, and it's gonna be week 8, and it's gonna be just too little,
Yeah.
too late. But sure enough, they're
Well,
well on their way to that. Damn.
I mean, anything can happen when you play a team twice in a
True.
row, right?
True.
So who knows? Maybe next week's the week, and they should be the home team in that one, correct? It should be Dallas at Columbus.
Yeah. Yes, it will be.
Yeah, we will see, I guess. But long story short, I don't want to ramble on too long here. I like Dallas -7. I think that offense just looks great, and the defense looks solid. And I do like the over 46.5. I think that Dallas is going to put up their fair share of points in this one, and we could see Columbus make it a little respectable later on, like we saw in the DC game.
Zach, if you had a playbook of like trick plays or like
Hmm.
your best plays, do you try them at all week like the first time you play a team? If you're going to play them again this like the following week, or do you just like do you try to get that first win, make sure you got that win under your belt, and then focus on the next week, 1 week at a time? You know, coach speak. They always say 1 week at a time. But like, because I know you don't face this with your schedules. You don't know that you're going to play the same team the following week. But
Hmm.
like, you got to think like, is there some of that in your game strategy of just like, save that for the following week? Like what happens here?
I think it's all very scenario based.
Yeah,
I think you in game one, you're trying to run your bread and butter. You're trying to make what you do as a team work. And if it works, great. We're in this game, we're in business. And maybe you throw in a trick play late when you're trying to win the game or you're trying to pick up a crucial first down or something like that. But I think if you're getting completely shut down, then you kind of pack your toys up and get out of there in week one, and then week two, all bets are off. You throw anything at the wall to try to shock your opponent and put them in a position where you put yourself in an advantageous position. So I think there's kind of two ways to look at it, like I said. But if your bread and butter works, that's awesome because you can do that for 2 games and you can sprinkle in a trick play here or there. But if not, you're going to see some exotic stuff out of matchup number two.
sorry, I'm scrolling through the schedule. I'm trying to find any more. We should have done this before. Any more
Any more
duplicates?
duplicates?
Columbus plays Dallas back to back in here week 3 and week 4, and then they go on to face the Gamblers in week 5 and the Gamblers again in week 6.
Oh my gosh.
So, oh man,
That's not good, man. I don't know how they did that. You would think that they would at least like maybe give them a break in between, like flip flop their opponents so that at least it's every other week.
yeah, it happens again week 8 and week 9. The Gamblers and the Battlehawks again. Yeah, Gamblers go back to back to
Wow,
back to back again. Like here, oh man, not to
that's
trash
wild.
schedule makers, but
You would think that that would be avoidable. I mean, unless they're trying to like
I
I can't
I
even
can
think because they're traveling to each other's
the only
stadiums.
reason I could picture this, and I don't make schedules here. I'm not here to tell somebody how to do their job. But you got to take into account that they don't own these stadiums. Uh,
Hmm.
they gotta have stadium availability. For all we know, it's like the other 3 stadiums were available, and it's just like it's just how it worked. All right, I'll lay off your
Here,
schedule
here's a
makers,
hy-
but this is interesting.
here's a hypothetical for you though. What if the whole chaos was because Ludacris was only free during week two, and they're
Oh,
like, God,
Luda said
we
I'm only
gotta give
doing
them a
week
home
2.
game.
Well, hey, Wale's going to DC this week.
I mean, what if that's what this is all about? What if it was all about the musical performances?
Who knows? Maybe, dude. Maybe week 5, week 5 and 6, they got halftime performers for the Gamblers Aviators team matchups, and he's whoever it is, he or she is just like, I'm only doing it if it's Columbus Aviators matchup week 2, like the second time they play. The stipulations, like I'm only playing if they play each other again.
I guess whatever you got to do to get fans in the stands. That's it.
It's one way to do it. All right. Last game of the week here, we've got a Sunday at 3 p.m. game or lone Sunday game. No, I have that wrong. There's a lone Saturday game. Our second Sunday game. We have the Birmingham Stallions at the St. Louis Battlehawks. Both teams coming off of a loss here this past week. We have the Stallions favored here at -2.5. Over under set at 42.5. This is an interesting. I'd argue. I know. We already gave our stamp to the game of the week here earlier, but this is an interesting one where I think we're seeing 2 1-1 teams, uh, with I guess a lot to play for in the matter of fact that they have. I guess, both histories in this UFL, XFL, USFL, I guess, history of being good teams. So for
Hmm.
one of them to fall to 1-2 kind of sees them be like kind of falter a little bit, kind of have to rev up again after this upcoming week. Um, so I think we've got two. I guess going into the season, these were some people's top two teams. Heading into week one, I think we had them in our power rankings 2 and 3. Uh, so this is a big deal for both of them. Uh, Birmingham lost a close one to Houston last week with that game-winning field goal from Houston. And St. Louis just looked vulnerable against Dallas last night. Um, what we're looking for in this one, we need a Birmingham red zone execution. They moved the ball last week, but left too many points on the. I guess left them on the field. Too many stalled drives and turnovers. St. Louis is looking for a bounce back on their pass rush. They destroyed DC in week one, and a lot of that had to do with the DC offensive line. But still, they want to bring that pressure back. Um, when Matt Corral was under pressure for um, Birmingham last week, Houston kind of forced him into some mistakes. So if St. Louis can kind of bring that to him again this week, they might have themselves a little bit more control here defensively. But can St. Louis kind of generate enough offense? Who's to say? You mentioned how Dallas held them to just 3 points in the first half last week. Uh, Maybe they punch in a little bit more this week. They kind of have to if they want to win. Over under set at 42.5. They're kind of expecting some points here, where Birmingham has scored a total of both of their games were both, let's see, 28 and 42, both unders, and St. Louis putting up 16 and 15 in back to back weeks, letting up 31 last week. So we've got some defenses that kind of go back and forth. St. Louis kind of having a rough week yesterday against Dallas, but manhandling DC in week one, while Birmingham kind of keeping things under control. They kept Houston out of the end zone last week, giving up plenty of field goals though, giving up points to keep them behind. Where week one against the Kings, they kind of held them down to 13. So Zach, over under set at 42.5. Stallions favored here at -2.5. What do you think in this game goes?
Well, I think I'm going to start with the over under in this one. I think you talked me into an under here. I think that these two offenses are just kind of trying to find their footing. And I think we're so used to the Stallions being this powerhouse team that the rest of the league is trying to catch up with. And I just don't necessarily know if that's what they are this year. So again, we're only 2 weeks in. Anyone could prove anything differently at this point, but I don't. I just don't know if they're what we expect them to be. Typically, McCarron is still trying to figure some things out with them, and I don't know. Just could be different. So I'm also going to go with the underdog here. Give me St. Louis +2.5. I just kind of got a feeling. Just I don't really feel convicted either way in this game, but I think St. Louis might be the ones to do it here. So give me St. Louis plus the points. I guess when all else fails, take the points, right?
Yeah, I keeping it vanilla here as well. I'm gonna copy you on both. St. Louis +2.5, under 42.5. I feel like, quite honestly, I think St. Louis can win this one. I think they not to say they're. I think St. Louis has proven more to me. I believe in that they can handle a game defensively. I know they just got absolutely torched by Vaughns last week, but I think if they can get to Corral, they can handle this game. And because of that, I think we find ourselves in a defensive matchup here in St. Louis, keeping us under 42.5. So St. Louis +2.5, under 42.5
In the Battle Dome, nonetheless.
in the Battle Dome. Yeah, that's notable.
That is.
Is it there? No, they played in St. Louis in week 1. Yeah, they did. Okay. I had to make sure this wasn't the christening of the Battle Dome this season.
The opener, yeah.
But no, they've been there already. They're ready to fill the dome. They always are. And I hope you do too, you
Love it.
listener. If you're in St. Louis, go see a football game. Actually, I think I saw that maybe this was last week, but I think moving forward, I saw a deal for Orlando. Oh, it can't be the next 2 weeks. When do they play in Orlando next? Week 5. I know. Either way, I saw a deal for $15 tickets. It gives you entry and a beer to an Orlando
Wow.
game. I think that was this past week.
That's awesome.
And I feel like that deal's floating around for a lot of these stadiums. They're trying to get people into these games. So if you're interested in any of these areas, go watch yourself a spring football game.
Stop on by, yeah.
I know I would if I weren't several hours away from DC. Sounds like a fantastic thing to do on a 70-degree weather day. Oh, sit back, watch some
Absolutely.
football. Sounds incredible.
We're starting to get the spring part of spring football now, finally.
We're here, baby. All right. That'll do it for our week 4 preview. Or not week 4, week 3 preview. I'm already getting
Week 3, man. Jeez.
It's like I want this season to end. I don't. Week 3. Yep. This was our week 3 preview. Thank you for tuning in. Zach, it was a pleasure chatting with you. It always is. We are UFL Weekly. If you are watching us on YouTube, you can listen to us on wherever you get your podcasts. Search UFL Weekly. You can find us. If you are listening to us, you can find us on YouTube and see our beautiful faces. Just search UFL Weekly. And there we are. So again, thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments your favorite, I guess, which game you're looking forward to this week. Are you looking forward to seeing the rematch between the Kings and the Storm? Are you looking forward to seeing part 1 of a two-parter between the Aviators and the Renegades? Let us know. I know I am. I'm amped to see all of these games. If you're going to a game, let me know. Actually, if you're mad at this league about anything, if you really hate the schedule, Mike Repole, the acting president, I don't know his actual current role. He doesn't have that listed anywhere. On X, he's asking fans to give him honest feedback. He actually gave a whole thing saying that he dropped the ball on the UFL store. Reach out to him, air your thoughts, make a throwaway X account and yell at him if you really hate this league, or sing your praises if you're saying like, hey, you guys are killing it, you were doing really good at X, Y, and Z. Let him know. I bet he's getting a lot of negatives. If you're happy about something, let him know that too. Make the man stay. Or let us know, and I can pass the information to him via posting. I'm not going to message him. I don't have that capability. It'd be awesome. Mike, if you're listening, say hi. But I doubt you are. But yeah, comment your anger about the league. Sure, I'll let him. I'll post it for you. Either way, thank you for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts on the league. Let us know your thoughts on this upcoming week. But overall, thank you for being here. Once again, we are UFL Weekly. This was our week 3 preview, and we appreciate you. Talk to you next week.
See ya.